Okay, so let's create the slider for this. So we have three different parts on this slider. We have, the actual slider. We have this text with the name of the singer. I've never listened to this singer before. It's not my style. I just choose someone that maybe, someone popular. I don't really like this music, but that's okay with you. I'm more like a jazz fusion, that kind of music, really old. So this div with the name of the singer is going to be on top of the slider, and then on top we can have this event start, and this one it's in a position absolute, so it's sticked to the bottom of the container. Okay, first, before we do anything, we need to create a place where we will be hosting the files. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this section featured. Now this feature will contain an index.js with all the other components. So the index.js of this one is going to be just a React stateless component. I've never listened to this girl before, the singer. I'm more kind of a jazz, fusion, rock kind of guy. But I picked this singer because she's popular and everyone knows her. And okay, that's good. So now, of course, if I reload the application, nothing happens because we are not including this featured component inside of the app. All right. So first, we need to import. So import featured from /components /featured, and that is it, because we have an index, so there's no need to put index right here. So I'm going to make a reference to featured, open and close, and if we reload the application, okay, we get it. Now the problem is that the div that contains this Ariana Grande and everything else is not big enough to put this in the center. And this is because the div that is going to be expanding this container is going to be the slider. And we're going to be using React Slick. So let me go to React Slick and GitHub, to the GitHub page. So this is one, React Slick, React Carousel Component. So again, this is a third-party library where we can use to create that kind of a slide behavior. And right here, we can do this, or you can add the CDN link in your HTML, which is the Slick CSS and the theme. And we will need the CSS for the sliders. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to, I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to index.html, and I'm going to paste the styles because we are going to need it. If not, it's going to look really, really ugly. Now, if we go to the example, we need to import slider from React Slick, and inside of a class, we need to pass the settings to the actual slider. It's really, really, really simple to use, right? Okay. So we don't have a component that hosts this carousel. So inside of feature, I will create a new file called carousel. Let me make it right. All right, .js. Now, this one is going to be a class-based component, or it could be a stateless component. I'm going to create a stateless component, React stateless component. So inside of carousel, we need to bring this import slider. So we're going to import the Slick slider. And inside of this, of course, we need to start passing the settings and creating the slider. Before we do that, I'm going to go to the index and require this image carousel or this carousel. So import then carousel from carousel. There we go. And I'm going to copy and paste it down here. Okay. So of course, nothing is gonna really happen right now. So inside of the carousel, we need to first do the settings. If we go to the documentation, we need to create maybe a const or a let where we host the settings of the actual slider. So I'm gonna do that. Since we have a stateless component, I can just create a variable right here called settings equals to open and close. So I want to remove the dots, and of course for this you can check the documentation on this. So we can remove the dots, and the dots are the the little dots we get at the bottom of the slider. So we can change positions. I don't really want it. I'm gonna say infinite, just like this, and true. So it's gonna start looping in an infinite way. So then autoplay, so true, and the speed is gonna be 500. Of course, you can modify this into whatever you want, doesn't matter. Now the carousel, I'm gonna put this on a container, right? And you're gonna see why in a minute. So this container, and I'm gonna put this at the bottom, will have a class name of carousel and then wrapper. Now, if you're wondering why I'm using custom CSS and not using something like Bootstrap or something else, it's because how boring would be to do call-ms12 call-ms20 call-ms, and that would be really, really boring. So I did my own classes, which is all the the properties right there. Okay, so this class name is going to be the actual wrapper, and then I will do something. I'm going to add a style. I'm going to change some styles, and I'm going to add an overflow. It's going to be hidden, just like this, and I'm going to do something else. Now, if you noticed, whenever the application loads, this is the final one, the height of the slider is the height of the actual window. If I scroll down, the next component begins. So if I make this smaller, let me make it a little bit smaller. So let me remove this. So what else? We need to start adding the slider. And the slider, we just need to use the component we've imported at the top, pass the settings, and inside put whatever we want. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna make a reference to this slider we are importing at the top. Slider, open and close. Okay, so we need to pass the settings. So open and close, ... and then settings. So if you are not really sure with the ESX, whenever we do ... and instead of this, we are putting all the props, everything we have inside this object, because it's an object, inside of the slider, and we pass it as props. So it's going to be at the end, be behind the scenes, it's going to be like dots equal true, then infinite equal true, something like that. But it's much easier to do ... and then pass the settings. Okay, so right here we need to start adding the images. So I'm going to say div and image 1, something like that, then div image 2, and I believe we have 3 images for this singer. So image 3. Okay, so if I go here, right here, image 1, and if I move it, image 2, and same thing if I move it, image 3. Okay, so now we need to bring the images. If we go to resources inside images, we have slide 1, slide 3, and slide 2. So we are gonna import the images right here at the top so we can use it. So import, then slide 1. You can call this again whatever you want, doesn't matter right now. And it's from // resources, images, and then slide 1. All right. And all the other ones are going to be pretty much the same. So I'm going to copy, paste, and change this one to 2 and this one to 2. All right. And the next one, image slide 3, and this one slide 3. All right. So now inside of this, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to say div. I'm going to create a new div with a class name of carousel image. Very good. And inside of here, I will add a style. Let me make it just like this. So, a little bit nicer. So inside of here, I'll be adding a style, and I'll be passing the background image as a prop, right? So background equals open and close template strings, and I'm going to say URL open and close, and we need to pass in this case, the slide number 1. And then of course, the height is going to be the full height of the window, just like we did before. So I'm going to copy from here. So I'm going to do copy, paste. So instead of adding the node kind of in an EMG with source, I'm passing a div with the background. So we can use that position cover or position contain. We can make use of that. Let me go right here. Now, if I copy this one, and you can see it right here, I'm going to copy the image number 2, and of course change the name because it's going to be image number 2. We could create a loop and loop it from function, but this is really easy, guys. There's no need to do this. We're going to do a lot of that in the next few projects. Okay, so I'm going to reload it and we get it. And if I move it, we get the second slide, and then we get the third slide, and we start again. If I scroll down, everything ends. So good, everything works. Really, really, really simple. So in the next step, we'll be adding the event starts in. So let's go to the next section and finish the featured component.